The dollar is declining in its value dramatically day after day, and you can see that in reality when you go to the store, when you go to buy products, you can see that your bills are not worth what they once were. This is an example from my book where I just use this illustration here to show you the value of the dollar is declining. And you could just see here the car in 1900 would have, you could have bought that for $100 and then you only get you a bike, and then later down the road where we are at present buying you a bus pass. So you can see the value of the dollars declining. So although that bill does say $100, that $100 doesn't mean what it used to 100 years ago. And that's just, of course, just an example. So let's get into the reality of the situation. The Federal Reserve, the institution that is responsible for this erosion, is now saying this. This is the Minneapolis Fed. Coach Lakota sees real erosion of the people's purchasing power. It's very funny that this is coming from the Fed because they are the ones propagating this, pushing it up, and really stuffing it in our face, and now admitting it. And of course, they know that that's part of the reason why they've done this in the first place. This has been going on for 100 years now and counting. You can read further things that he said, which is pretty telling. Now I'm showing you the shrimp here, but this goes for many different commodities. They are rising in price, but their value always remains the same because in reality, the reality of the situation is it's still the same commodity. 1,000 years from now, it's still the same commodity, but those dollar bills being devalued, so therefore they cost more. And another example of that is in the beef prices. You can see here in this diagram here, this chart showing you the beef prices rising year over year, now many multiples of what they were over a decade ago, showing you that, once again, it's the beef, it's the cattle, always been the same pretty much, although they are obviously in worse condition now. However, the commodity is the same, the dollars have declined. That's what's happening here. It's not any different. And this is Alan Greenspan, something that I quoted in my book when I predicted QE3 prior to it happening. And Greenspan said, he would be surprised if there was a QE3 because it would continue the erosion of the dollar. I knew it. Prior to him saying this, I knew there was going to be a QE3. They had to, because ultimately that's the only game they've got. They brought the interest rates down to zero. What else can they do? They have to print money. Of course there would be a QE3. That's why I predicted it in the book and specifically used this quote to show you that even the Fed, and this is of course this was when he was a former Fed chairman already at the time. However, an individual former Fed chairman saying something like this, knowing that that's going to be proven wrong. And where exactly is this money fleeing to? Because of course the money is never destroyed, it is simply transferred. So wealthy foreigners buy up swaths of UK farmland and country estates. And this is not just in the UK, that's just an example I pulled up. It's happening in the US, it's happening all over the world, where they're getting into real assets, as I've discussed many times before. The rich are buying all kinds of real assets, such as farmland. Although many say that it is in a bubble, that's where the money is heading. It's heading into real assets. Another one here, ultra luxury apartments are in a boom right now. In fact, all luxury goods are in a boom right now, despite the fact that the reality of the situation looks terrible in the example of the US, where you have a very big divide between the rich and the poor, and here you have it at the same time, ultra luxury apartments going for extremely high numbers. And once again, want to finish off with this. In this example, I'm showing you a carrot. The carrot has been the same, give or take, for forever essentially, but those carrots continue to rise in price. But what exactly is it about the carrot that makes it cost more? It's nothing. It doesn't mean anything at all because the carrot itself is still a carrot. The dollars have been devalued. Why? Because they keep printing more and more. It is many more dollars chasing the same amount of goods. That's inflation. That's exactly what it is. More dollars out there. They keep printing them and it keeps basically funding this banking scheme that is a detriment to our future. The dollar has very little life left. The world is already talking about going off the dollar onto other currencies. We're looking at potentially a supranational organization like the IMF having their own currency being the reserve currency. This is really going to be a terrible situation. Not that I like the dollar, but what they have provided a solution for us in the end could definitely be worse. That concerns me. The dollar is already as bad as it gets. If you want more information like this, you need to get on the Money GPS Insiders. That's where I give out all the best stuff, where I can get into basically very brief yet detailed emails. I could send it off to you, and you'll get an email every few days, and that's where I reply to people first. If you get on there, you'll get my email address, and basically you can contact me on there, and I always reply to the insiders first.